light windowless fan? Uh-oh, I better get out of here. Enjoy the show!
Aha! There we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Show X. You're listening live at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT on this Sunday, the 29th of September, 2019. Hey, Ken, you stop it. It is the ultimate of... Yeah, you chortling at me trying to get things accomplished here for the show and multitask at the same time. Although, hopefully, today...
That's what you're doing. Okay.
Well,
That's
no,
the
actually...
things you're doing, nothing else.
I said multitask. No, actually, I did.
You only said three things.
Actually, I need to adjust because I was having all kinds of weird things just before the show as I was trying to get things set up. So I think I'm coming through a little bit too loud. So I'm going to try to adjust that down just a little bit. All right. Hopefully, let's see. Okay, back down to normal. I think that's good. It was weird. But as I was setting up for the show today, everything was like blasting. And so I've been trying to get it to like adjust all the levels, as well as I finally got us correct on Mixer. Apparently, when I had us set up initially for it, there was another challenge in that it wasn't... You had to go through like a trial period thing or something. And
all right.
So with that, I was kind of like, okay, what do I need to do next? And it had this whole like wait some amount of time before it actually allowed you to broadcast and get your stream key and stuff like that on Mixer. And so I had to go back through I think it's a trial thing just maybe to avoid bots. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
But I went through and was able to update everything and get it finally on. So we should be broadcasting now on Twitch, YouTube, Mixer, and I think we should be like labeled or say that we exist on Mobcrush, the app or tool that I'm using to kind of aggregate all of it. And so I think I got that all sorted. Please let us know if anything is not coming through as you would expect us to. But other than that, good morning, good afternoon, and such to everybody. Hopefully you all are doing well as you're ready for us to get to the show today. So, start things off, Ken. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good, and I want to let everybody know that today we have got a whole bunch of new games for Steam. These are global keys. I've made sure that they're all global. So all you need to do to take part, and let me make sure the tweet's actually up. Is the tweet up? Is the latest tweet up?
I thought I saw something.
No, it's not there yet.
If not, I can hit
all right,
mine.
Press the go button. Press the launch sequence.
All right, I hit my Twitch button, my Twitter button, so hopefully it is out there for the world to see.
All right. On Twitter right now, if you go to twitter.com/VTWShowX, you'll see our latest tweet. If you go in there and retweet it, preferably with a comment or something, that'd be great, but you don't have to. Just retweet it, and you will be entered into the prize draw for one of 10 completely random Steam games. We don't even know what these are. They are truly random. So you might get something amazing, or you might get something just to fill up that list. Or you might not get anything. Depends how many people retweet, of course. So please do come take part, and it helps us, expand our audience and all that good stuff. So go in and retweet our latest tweet on VTWShowX tag on Twitter. We very much appreciate it. So yeah, I'm good, sir. How are you? How are things going in the west of the U.S.?
In Wayne's World? Let's see. Things are okay. Things are good.
Why didn't I think of that?
Well, come on. That's old school. Like, that trope hasn't been done how many times? But no, I'm doing well. And let's see. What have I been up to of late? Actually, let me go ahead and kick things off so that we can do it how we like to say that let's get ready for a little bit of...
Dysfunctional deviations.
And what have I been doing in dysfunctional deviations? Not a ton. Mostly, honestly, been sitting on my couch watching a lot of TV. If I was to, comment anything in specifics that I have been working on or doing. So that's primarily what I've been up to. But at the same time, it's still fun and good. What I've been watching as I talk about this, or I guess I'll go through, I like to do it somewhat chronologically of what I've been doing. So, first thing, I had talked last week about coming home from Nebraska and bringing back a lot of things for my parents. So I went out there,
Yeah.
did the Hamilton show and all of that. And while I was out there, my parents loaded up my car with a bunch of the things that they won't be able to keep with them as they become nomads and have in their RV and things like that. And so it was an opportunity for me to collect some of the things that my parents have collected for the years, bring them into my life here at home.
Sure.
And so part of what I did with that, as I was going through, is my father had gifted me his Technics 1900, which is an old, essentially it's a record player. As I was jokingly in the note saying, my phonograph that I now have.
Oh, right, okay. I was wondering what that was all about.
Yeah, so basically just an old record player, but a really nice quality one. Technics, Panasonic brand ones are ones that I know mostly from essentially DJing, actually. The 1200 Technics is one that is famous that people who were DJs used to spin on back in the day, and still do because they have a very clean drive system that pushes them. So they're coveted often by people who do that kind of work, who do DJing and things like that. So I was always curious to have, and it's something that I've not picked up in my life yet, is to have my own actual turntable. And so having that brought into my life was kind of cool, kind of neat. And just as a catch-up for you, Ken, finished up 3rd place. So one of the better rounds I've done. But anyhow.
Oh, right, okay, right, I understand. Okay, give me a second. I was like, were you at some competition this week? I was like, are you at a tournament? I thought usually that's on the weekend, so I thought I would have known. But no, okay.
You got me. But yes, no, so the nice thing is got it set up, and the challenge was, and I didn't know this upon getting it, because I have an older stereo system that I had purchased off of Marketplace, off Facebook, and put in the basement, hooked up to multiple speakers down there, that, like one of those old towers that has multiple levels of it, and in it it's got a dual cassette deck up top, it's got the radio piece of it, it's got an amplifier, it's got a 100-disc CD changer in the base of it, and such.
What?
And what I've
100
used...
discs, did you say?
Oh yeah. And I've only got like 5 in there right now because I haven't gone through my whole collection and loaded it up yet. But it's one of these things that I've had it down there mostly to have music when I was either hosting people over or as I'm crafting and such, because other people have also, as I jokingly say, that while people gift me a lot of things, a lot of times I'm also storing things for people. And in doing so, I have like some really nice speakers that I'm storing for another friend, and as I'm storing them, I'm using. It's kind of how the rule has been. And so my stereo in the basement's actually quite robust. But one of the things I've done is to modernize, I put a little Bluetooth adapter on it, like RCA Bluetooth thing, so I could plug in and use my phone. So while I was there crafting, I could just log in and play whatever I'd like. So now that I got the record player, I rewired things a bit and stuck it on there. Challenge was, as soon as I loaded it up, I was all excited. It runs, it's great, let me try it. Put it through the stereo, and it was so quiet. Like, just, like, all there, but just this really low signal in the whole thing. And so I was just like, what the heck? It's going through this nice amplified system. I don't get it. Did some research real quick, was thinking, wait, maybe this being an old, record player, maybe it needs a preamp. Because modern systems, so many things have their own audio things coming through. As Kuro is mentioning in the chat right there, yes. And so I learned that and went on the magics of the interweb online box stores and was able to one day ship myself, after doing a lot of trying to understand reviews to see what people thought of preamps. Thankfully, they're not that expensive. They range everywhere from some of the Amazon, what do I always say, the little ones they focus, the sponsored ones or whatever, the ones they showcase, somewhere around like $15 to $20, up to as much as you want to spend, as per usual. If you want one with vacuum tubes and all those kind of things, you can spend hundreds of dollars. So I got one for basically 15 or 20 bucks, somewhere in there. Showed up, plugged it all in, started playing music again, and it works wonderfully. And what's interesting is I was concerned because almost every review I had gotten of any of these little cheaper preamps essentially said that they were very lackluster when it came to lower tones, bass and stuff like that. I don't know for sure. I checked on what shows the little equalizer on the stereo, and it looks like it's getting a full range audio. But I say that because the records I have, the vinyl I have to play, also gifted to me from my father. And so there are a lot of vinyl that, gosh, I don't think my father has purchased a vinyl, either of my parents, for probably 20 years. And so the set that my younger brother Earthweaver and I split up when we were at the house, and I still get him because he took one of the big ones, one of the big multi-disc sets. But I was able to pull some of it out there, put it on, and I sat down and just for like an hour was just kind of going through records and playing some of the old music on the stereo, and it sounded so good. Along with that little bit of scratch of the initial thing. I don't know if you've ever played with vinyl yourself, Ken, but like that first scratch when you put the needle on and just that little bit of and then it gets into the actual music and gets clean.
I listen to a lot
beautiful.
of lo-fi, so I've heard the simulated version.
So no, it's definitely something that, I don't know, it's nostalgia for me. I jokingly talk about how when I first started listening to music in general, right, it was either the radio or it was record players. And in doing so, I remember back to the day of I always jokingly say that the first 45 that I remember ever playing on a record player that I think was in my room was my brother's single, I guess it was, because I think it was just two sides, as a little thinner, like one of the 7-inch discs or something. But it was Jay Giles' band Centerfold. And I remember that song and playing it as often as I could and how much I enjoyed that. And so it just brought me back to kind of that memory of it. And so I'm excited to have it down there because I was fighting with myself of where would I put it in my house, because I could put it in my like entertainment center upstairs, but really I only watch TV there. And so I was kind of like, well, where do I put it? I'm not going to stick it in my office. Even though I spend most of the time in here, I'm not going to stick a record player somewhere in the corner. I don't really have the audio system for it, although I could throw it through my headphones, I'm sure. So sticking in the basement made me really happy, and I can just sit there and let it kind of groove out. And so that should be fun. So that's one of the things I did. Other than that, I've been trying to spend time... Oh, and you want to throw a congrats right there?
Yeah, big congrats to Kuro, who got... a new game called Super Space Pug. I have no idea what that was about, or well, obviously it's about pugs in space who are super. I don't know if it's super pugs, as in like they have superpowers, or no, it's super space. So does space have superpowers? I don't know, but it's it looks like a lot of fun.
Well, that'll be one that. Kuro, you will have to write us in an email when you had an opportunity to install and play and tell us what you think of the the game you won for tweeting us out on the show today for Super Space Pug. Congratulations.
Yes, won. He won the game. He's not been burdened with it. He's won the game.
Hey, we don't know that. It could be amazing. And so thank you very much for the shout-outs, and thank you to everyone who participated in retweeting the show. Please continue to, if you're coming in. We are on a path, as I throw it out there, to affiliateship here on Twitch. And so with your help and getting more people to listen into each of our streams, the more close we get to being affiliates, where we get all of those added benefits that I know people like Hando and Copy are looking forward to, like us being able to create our own little emoji banners and things like that in the chat. So as Hando throws all the don't panics in there, we can have some of our own, and I already have ideas of things we can do. So with that, this to you, Kuro. Thank you very much.
Oh, you son!
All right. So otherwise, what I've been doing this week is I'm trying to be all kinds of responsible. I've been prepping as best as I can for doing a photo shoot, and this is actually a heads up just for next week, is that I'm going to be shooting a wedding, and I'm pretty sure that the time frame goes through the show, so I will likely not be on the show next week in such that I can shoot this wedding. And this is the first wedding I've had an opportunity to do photos for since I think I helped Earthweaver for one, a year or two ago, something like that, maybe last year. And so yeah, this should be an interesting time. It's an outdoor wedding for the most part, at a beautiful golf course out in the foothills of the Rockies. And so I actually went out on Friday and spent about an hour out there, and it's about an hour away, but drove out there to just kind of walk the immediate area and look at how it's set up for weddings, so I can get some ideas on the kind of the photos I want to take, as well as the gear I need to take.
And so with that, my next goals as I continue to prep, I've been watching a video series that my brother has given me access to be able to remind myself of some of the techniques specific to shooting weddings, as well as my goal this week is to pull up all the hardware I think I'm going to need, because I'm probably going to try to do this with some standalone flashes or external flashes so that I can light up certain areas, because there'll be, I think, one portion, if they have the outdoor venue, will be in a tent versus the indoor venue. Actually, the outdoor should be more lit, which will be nice. But also, because of when the wedding itself takes place, I'm likely going to be dealing with harsh, direct sunlight. And
Ooh, that's pretty tough to deal with.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to figure out how, and I have an idea. I think if I set 2 off-camera flashes that are remote triggered, that I could probably balance it out to give enough fill light up front to position them in such a way that I can't do bad. My other goal, and I haven't set it up yet, is that my primary wide-angle lens that I use, my Sigma 18-35 1.8, that with it I don't have a hood for it. And so my thought is to 3D print one this week. And so that way I have a little bit of sun protection. And I'm trying to decide if I go between just a normal black hood that I would do like any camera end, or if maybe I try to print a flexible filament one so that I have one that also squishes. And that way it's something...
I mean, I guess that's useful, but I don't know. I feel like the squishiness is quite a minor... I don't know. It sounds like a lot of risk, because I imagine it feels like it'd be a weaker structure. I don't know.
Well, it could be. I could do it thicker, but that way it would give me something that, one, if it bangs into things, it would be more of a squishiness versus it that rigid it could crack, or the harsh impact of the thing. But also, it would be easier to pack, I think, and throw into a camera bag and things like that. It was just a random thought. I was like, because all you really need the hood for is to just block out edges of where the light might, sunlight might glare off of the lens and create any kind of haze or effects like that. So I was just thinking, plus I can custom build whatever size one I want. And so I could even print like a massive one that, as long as it's the right angle coming out, won't interfere with the lens. I don't know. It's just one of those thoughts like, ooh, here's another thing I haven't done with 3D printer. And because when I looked at the lens itself and looked at ones I could buy, the lens hoods were somewhere in the range of like $22 for it. And I know if I design and print one myself, it'll cost me about $1 worth of material.
Yeah, there's the real benefit of a 3D printer in the future, I think. I think eventually it will become the economical choice.
Well, and it's something like for a niche thing like this, that I think their ability to sell it for what they do is simply because you can't really go out and buy them everywhere. I think that's what allows them to kind of charge that premium for what is essentially 20 cents worth of plastic. And so I was like, there might be something beneficial. So that's something I was doing. Other things, as I've tried to, again, be responsible and active and productive this last week, I finally realized one of the things that basically the experience was much like I expected, if not maybe worse. I had purchased, because I have solar panels on my house, and somehow that equated to attracting a bunch of pigeons all over my roof.
What?
I have no idea why, or maybe it's just coincidence, but after they were installed, all of a sudden there's a whole roost of pigeons that like to hang out on top of my house. And this is not something as a homeowner that I really want to encourage. And so I've looked around for some time as to some non-lethal, easy mechanisms of ways to help minimize the problem, try to encourage the pigeon not to choose my roof. And in looking, I found these little decoy-style owls that you can buy online. And essentially what they are is the one I got solar paneled with a little bit of a motion sensor on it, so that hopefully if they come in front, see it, touch it, whatever, it hoots at them and its eyes flash, and so hopefully it will scare them into not hanging out on my roof. Now, the challenge is getting it installed on my roof. And I've got, for people who've visited, a fairly tall house. It's 2 stories with pitched roofs. And all around the outside of the house is pretty much nothing but rock and concrete. And so, I don't know about you, Ken, but I am not the greatest fan of heights. In general,
I'm fine with heights.
I fear heights. My legs get weak when I'm in a position where I'm leaning over a railing or something like that. Even at like an indoor balcony of a hotel that's multi-story, if I'm at the edge and can lean partway over, my body reacts poorly to it. I don't like the feeling. So to get
I think it's not. I would never call fear of heights a phobia, because it's quite a fair thing to be afraid of.
Right? And that's kind of, I don't feel bad that I had this reaction. It doesn't cripple me, but it is something that actively increases my heart rate. And I won't say puts me into a panic, but it causes me to take more moments as I deal with the situation. So in order to install this in a position that would hopefully mitigate the pigeons, I had to get on top of my roof, which I have never been on since owning my home for the past, I've been in this house for 14 years, 13 to 14 years I've been in this house. And I have never been on the roof. On my old house, I had actually been on the roof many times, both to like hang Christmas lights each year, as well as to like try to patch parts of the roof, to change out window stuff, things like that. I'd been on my old house's roof multiple times. Never liked it, but at the same time, maybe it's because it was younger and dumber Wayne, but getting on my roof this past weekend was nerve-wracking. Maybe it's also because it's just me in the house, so it's not like I have anybody to hold my ladder or pay attention or guide me in any way. It's mano a mano, it's all me, right? And so I got my tool belt on, and because I knew I needed to screw it into the roof, and affixed my drill bits, screws, and this awkwardly large little fake owl to my tool belt so that I could climb onto the roof, then shimmy my way up to the pitch to the top of it, to the peak, and was able to get it fixed. But in doing so, man, if my knees were achy the whole time. And the problem was, the roof is actually a steeper angle than I thought it was, just looking at it. And so the whole time, I never felt comfortable like standing up on the roof.
Right.
I always felt like it was just a bit of, this may not do it for me. This might suck. And so that was, like I said, nerve-wracking.
So, all right, let's gauge your afraid of heightsness. Would you be afraid of climbing up like a 2-step step ladder?
No, not at all.
Okay. Would you be afraid of jumping on a high trampoline?
Nope.
Okay. Would you be afraid of a jetpack?
What do you mean of a jetpack?
Like flying a jetpack. Okay, let's go with the water one, like the one that's like, the worst that can happen, you can fall in the water. Right?
That
like
one
I could you up.
Yeah, no, I know that one. The one where you're kind of standing thing. That one would be interesting, and I'd probably be okay with that.
A real jetpack.
Say that one again.
A real jetpack, like a fly around.
That would be a challenge, mostly because right now the technology is in such a place that I wouldn't trust it.
All right.
As Kuro's saying, jetpacks have an incredible fatality rate.
Could you share that thing? Could you play that video on screen and then answer how you'd feel in that?
The Iron Man suit one, I can try.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, for whatever reason lately, whenever I've tried to do a screen share of anything on... actually, maybe if I do a straight window capture, I can do this. It has not enjoyed... or it has not actually showed me the... Let's see. It has not allowed me to see the image, so let me see if it'll come through on this one.
Huh.
Oh gosh.
Sounds like a driver issue or something.
I don't think it is. That's a challenge. Okay. It doesn't look like it wants to come through. Come on. Come on.
Can you use full display capture, like the entire monitor?
Well, and that's the other means that I've tried doing this. And like I said, it worked previously, but there's something either with my drivers or... Let's see, I'm trying to decide... display capture, there we go. It's been something where I've been fighting with it. Oh, wait, it looks like it might work today. It may work. All right. So the challenge is I have to, move this up so I can show it. There we go. All right. I've got it on screen now. Hey, it's working today. Thank you very much, screen, for not being terrible. All right. So as I play this one, you have people... Yeah, this is what has been best described as the modern Iron Man suit that this gentleman has created, where it's using turbine jets to control both off, I think, the back and definitely the arms. Arms being a primary control surface. So I think it's got the general back. Wow, almost $500,000. But it apparently works. So
well, that's the thing, it's standalone. Like these kind of mechanisms you'd expect to have like a big power or like gas thing attached to it or something to control it. But the fact that it's standalone can actually fly you around, I just think it's so goddamn cool.
Oh no, I think this is cool as heck. And I remember seeing some of the first test flights of it, the first prototypes, where it was a lot more wavy hands, like, oh gosh, what am I doing kind of thing. Where this one's looking pretty slick. And so I think it's neat. I don't know if this mentions how long it actually is active for, how long it goes.
But like, does it matter? I mean, like, if I could only use it for like 10 seconds, I'd be happy because what I would do is I'd walk to work and I'd have it stored, I don't know, like in a locker outside of work. And then I'd hop into it and fly up to my office. And then that's all I need. That's all I want it for, right? It's just just to be slightly lazier in day-to-day life. That's the whole purpose of it, isn't it?
No, the whole purpose of this one is the potential to be much more mobile than we are and not rely on massive devices. But it'll be interesting to see. Wow, this video is really cool. So something like this.
So it's got over 1,000 brake horsepower to gain flight and can reach speeds over 55 miles per hour. Earned the Guinness World Record in 2017 for the fastest speed in a body-controlled jet engine power suit. It's been demonstrated in over 20 countries around the world. There's a patent waiting for it. The pilot has to be under 13 stone. No! You need like 10 turbines instead of 5 to get me going. Damn.
They just have to make an XL version. That's all. They just have to make an XL version, and then you'd be all right. No, that's funny. So, no, I think it's really cool, right? I do think it's really neat. Oh, what's actually kind of cool that I would be more likely to initially check out is apparently they have a VR simulator for it. And so I would want to mess around in like my Oculus with that a bunch before I'd ever want to actually jump in it. But
yeah, you know what? I'd be equally satisfied with a gaming suite that would allow me to feel like I'm in the Iron Man suit and feel like I'm flying and so on. That'd also be really cool.
No, I think that's awesome. And what I think we will end up seeing is as the technology continues to be refined, much like as we've talked about technology that comes from sci-fi as an inspiration, this is an example that came straight out of comic books. And I would not be surprised to see that if given 5-10 years from now, we legit have like an Iron Man suit. Something that is.
Those, what's it called? The external skeleton, like
some of the various exoskeletons.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, here it is. There's a few videos of it actually. So yeah, there's a few of them out there, but they're being made for military use and for civilian use in like warehouses and the likes.
Yeah.
And basically the purpose is that it'll attach. You climb into it, right? And it kind of looks like if you play Factorio, it looks like the exoskeleton in Factorio, but it allows you to like pick up weights that are just crazy, right? Like you can just like
it's a mini forklift that's attached to the skeletal structure of your body as a whole. And so it does have the articulation, and it's carrying the load primarily on its structure, and it just is slim enough to fit alongside a normal human body shape. I mean, honestly, this is the pathway towards, if you will, power suits, which I think most of us would be huge fans of, and things like that.
They're going to make us, like, run faster and climb. Like, imagine you had something that would allow you to, like, stick to concrete and helped you with actually doing the climbing. You can just go up to a mountain and climb it, or you can go up to the Empire State Building. Like, okay, I'm gonna go to the top, and then it just like rolls you up. How cool would that be? You'd be like Spider-Man.
Yes, there are some potentials to have some really awesome things. It'd be great. So it would be fun.
Have you seen the latest couple of videos from Boston Dynamics?
Actually, that's what came to mind as you were talking about that. So there are two major announcements, and it's fun because this is kind of an aside ahead of time to say that we're just going to go ahead and talk about some tech. And so I'll throw up a video here of one of the ones. which is this is one of the latest things because Spot, for people that are aware of, is the smallest considered like commercial grade or something to be used version of a robot essentially from Boston Dynamics. And they're essentially actually selling Spot now, or right on the edge of it. So there's the regular Spot, and there's another video, Go Spot, I believe, was the one. But it's essentially an advertisement saying, look, this is real, you can get ready to buy these. And my interesting concept is still wondering like what the use case is for these.
Well, yeah, if you see the Go Spot, there's a few examples of what it could be used for. But they seem to be good for carrying stuff around in multi-terrain environments. So you can like,
because it's up to like,
say you're a construction worker and you're bringing bags of cement over to the work site.
Well, it'd be interesting.
Just go fetch them back and forth.
Because it's like 14 kilograms. It says that it can carry, I believe, when I was watching the video before. So
that's pretty heavy.
It is, but it's still a limit. I do love the Spot, and I love they called it that because of the whole similarities to being a dog and such, and it has that size and kind of, you can almost see the cutesiness of that in the way it's done. What do I want to say? Like I said, my struggle is just not knowing, I don't have a use case for it. But again, this is one of those things similar to when I first talk about 3D printing, right? Until you've got one or maybe played with it, you maybe don't know.
Yeah.
Actually,
well, that's the thing. Like, it's got 360-degree awareness, right? So think of it just for security purposes.
No.
I mean,
I just came up with my use. I just came up with my use case. And no, I know what you're saying. So being able to be a remote security bot that goes beyond just your regular cameras and motion sensors, but one that can actually rove and have all the sensors to react and deal with it, that would be pretty darn cool. My use case, and this is dumb, but is to set it up actually as a mobile 3D printing platform. Because it has the arm, actually set up the extruder on it with a massive bin of the print material. Why I say this is it would allow for a better potential of 6 degree of freedom 3D printing. Of additive manufacturing where you set up a spot on your like workspace in your garage or something, right? And have it build a thing there. Where now you don't don't need a massive gantry surrounding your entire thing you're going to print. You just need enough space for it to move around the print space. And so theoretically, it could print kind of almost any width, and it could print in a non-traditional way where you only print up. It could print from a central spire and out, and it could print in all directions.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking like a 6 degree of freedom lathe or a 3-dimensional CNC or any of those kind of things.
Actually looks like it's not going to be too expensive. According
relative,
to
right?
IEEE
Relative.
Spectrum, there's a post here that says that I think it's the CEO, I don't know how it works, head researcher. Where is it? Perry, whoever Perry is, some guy called Perry, said that our general guidance of the total cost of the early adopter program lease will be less than the price of a car, but how nice a car will depend on the number of spots leased and how long the customer will be leasing the robot. So I don't think you can purchase one, but I think you can like have it for a while and pay for a year or two.
Well, that's also one of those models that's
cool.
out there of things. It's similar to what we described about subscription models with any of our media and such, that companies are getting more and more away from you actually being able to buy and own anything. They want you to just pay them constantly for access to whatever it is. There are advantages to that depending on your use case, because often it means you're paying less per month, and so if you need something for a minimal amount of time, you may be able to use it for what would cost less than actually purchasing it up front. And there's the ability, hopefully, for keeping the latest and greatest, always having most updated, traded in for the latest version because you just continue to pay a subscription. So there are valid reasons for it, but there's also a piece where it's like, part of me just loves the idea of, I still am old school and like to own things, not just have a license. All right, so the other one, Ken, and this is the one, I'm going to link it in there as well, but I'll show it. And I don't know if you've seen this one as well, Ken, but the more recent parkour one from Atlas for Boston Dynamics.
I did see that. Yeah, that's really. I linked that in the chat as well.
All right,
really
so
cool.
So if you already seen this, I'm going to play some of it as well. But Atlas being their human-sized robot, and one that we've seen in the past do different courses, I actually will admit the first time I watched this one, I thought, is this one CG? I mean, it's Boston Dynamics, so I'm sure it's not. But the thing is, it does in this little sequence, and how, for me, smoothly it does it, is what really captured my attention. Like, it wasn't...
Well, it's doing stuff that, like, I'm like, the average person cannot do this. This is better than the average human being. That's how mobile this thing's become.
Well, and how much precision it has, right?
Yeah.
That
spin in the air it does, by the way, that's the bit that fascinates me the most.
So that is one of the things that when I saw it, I was just like, dang. Because originally it was more it traversing different kinds of terrain, climbing stairs, doing a mini ninja course where it like was running down pillars, jumping back and forth along the edges, things like that. Actually, that'll be something to see. When they make the Atlas run Ninja Warrior, we're done.
Oh, that would be so cool. Or Tough Mudder as well. Like, if it can get through, you know...
In general, like, those kind of
those kind of
obstacle courses. Well, because even the spot, they talked about it being essentially, I forget what certification level of water resistant, but they show in the Go video of it walking through the rain like no big deal. And, I mean, they really did build that one out to be a commercial grade type of equipment, robot. And so I am really impressed by the stuff that Boston Dynamics puts out. Like, they just, anyone who's a geek and hits the geek level, that should be at a peak for whenever you hear their stories of thinking like, that is what the real nerds out there in the world are doing. And man, I wish I was able to be a part of that. That is cool stuff. But yeah, no, so definitely keeping track of those. I have seen those. I thought they were really cool. But gosh, there's something I could have used a spot for. Throw it on my roof. Let it do the work for me.
Right?
Well, because my challenge was, as I got up on the roof and had to climb around and do that, I got up there, did it the whole time, just feeling nerves. But as I went to get down off the roof is when it actually hit me, because there's no convenient, like, flat area to climb up on the roof from. And so the ladder was up against my garage and at a part of the pitch of the roof that getting up there, even, you know, halfway up, shuffling my head onto, or my torso onto, and then pulling myself kind of shuffling up onto it until I was fully on it. And then I wanted to, like, stand up some, and I was just like, nope, I do not feel comfortable with this. So I kind of did the crawling all the way around the roof. And I remember seeing when the workers were up there replacing my roof, they're just running about, right, on it, like no big deal.
Yeah, they're fine with it. Yeah.
Good for them. I'm glad they got that experience. For me, I had a very conscious understanding that anywhere the pitch fell landed me on either rocks or concrete if I were to make a misstep. But I got up there, I got it installed, and then when I was coming back down is when I struggled, where I contemplated the one edge of my house that's lowest and over the dirt side of my out of, like, my yard. I was tempted to just jump off the roof there. And I was like, well, because my challenge is where the ladder was over the rocks and concrete and was a bit higher up. And so to get onto the ladder as I started going down, and go figure it still happened to me, it took me reaching with my one leg while feeling like I was dangling off the roof before I found purchase and was able to actually get my foot onto something where I was like, okay, there is something below me. And so I was concerned the whole time that I was going to miss it and just fall off my roof, bust myself on the ground, and not have anyone looking for me. And kind of like, awesome. So, I mean, I had my phone on. I took every precaution I could with it, but man, there was just not a good feeling about some of that, me getting on the roof. And I need to get up there again because I know I have a roof shingle that has come loose on another part of my roof that's a little lower. So I'll have to get up there at some point as well. But just, it was not fun. That was a piece that I did not enjoy of home ownership, but doing the right thing. So that was a thing.
Sounds like it was an important thing to do, though.
Well, it was and wasn't. So I got it installed, put it up there, turned it on, like, sweet, it's ready to go. And then later came out and saw pigeons all over my roof. So my problem is I think my roof was actually too tall or too big, too long. And so they were on the other side of my roof from it. But I don't think it was enough of an imposing figure to actually keep them off my roof. And this is and it's a challenge I still need to solve because being up there, I saw the effects of having pigeons all over your roof. and they're
that smell, that
well, they're
gunk,
dirtying.
road, right?
They're dirtying everything up there. I need to get my gutters cleaned out there again because there's nothing else that would get in the way. There's no trees tall enough, so not leaves or anything. So it's more just pigeon refuse. And so I will tell you right now in my online store purchase box, I will admit I have a varmint rifle sitting there as I'm trying to consider means of how to solve this problem. And so I do have an air rifle sitting in that box just ready for me to hit go because they are actually damaging my house. And I have tried non-lethal, and I'm not sure what else I can do yet, so I'm just contemplating.
Have you done any online research?
Oh yeah. I've been reading up a bunch. And I've started with what most people recommended, and it doesn't seem to be effective. So I may need to take more direct matters.
Holding off on that until you. Yeah. In the end, pigeons are their lives are important. We shouldn't kill them
they aren't. These are vermin. They are doing nothing.
I disagree. But
Kuro, I will tell you that answer, and I don't know copy. I think it was you that brought it up first of roof cats. I have some serious thoughts on that. Like, I was wondering if I couldn't somehow build access for my two terrible little cats to get onto the roof. Like, build a little cat path through the attic and access to the roof up there and allow them to go prowling. It was a real consideration.
I would not trust their ability to stand up there. And generally speaking, cats are very, very good, but I've also seen a lot of cats be dumb and fall off of them.
I know, that'd be my concern, but I am thinking multiple thoughts of how to deal with it. And yes, Hando, exactly. Pigeons are rats with wings. They are equated to just rats in the sense of vermin. They do no good in this area. And so there are many places they could roost. My house should not be one of them. So we'll see. I'll find a way to deal with it. But
indeed. Well, best of luck, sir. It sounds like it's a bit of a pain, and it must be quite irritating.
It is quite irritating. All right, lighter news, and I'll get done off of what I've been doing. I took it upon myself. I kind of created a project in that I have been spending some of the time. I grabbed all of the artwork that I've collected over the last several years at different conventions and things like that. Actually, more years than I'd care to admit, that have not made their way into a permanent location on my house, like up on the walls. And I have laid it out on my dining room table, and I've started trying to redecorate some of the walls of my house and let my geek flag fly. And so I've been putting up some artwork where I can and rearranging things. Part of this was started again from grabbing things from my folks, because I got hold of this painting that they'd got in Mexico older than me, as well as a family photo that we had that when I looked at it was taken back in 1989. And so it was even prior to a couple of my cousins existing, as well as it was me in middle school maybe? That would have still been me in middle school. Like 7th grade or something like that. And so, I had the worst haircut. But my family and that, it's an old faded picture, but I found places for that, and in doing so I had to move around some of my other artwork. And so that's got me going where I'm hoping to actually get all of my things up on the walls in better places and redecorate and have a little more organized spacing. So I have that project going on as I've tried to find all my hanging things. I need to go measure and get a bunch of frames because most of the artwork I've purchased really deserves to be well maintained. Other than that, I had 2 shows I was going to bring up. I just finished binging, because this is what I do. Carnival Row on Amazon Prime. It's one I had talked about a little bit. Kind of old, fantasy / steampunkish feel type world, and that has Orlando Bloom in it. And I really have enjoyed that show. It's one that I wasn't sure at first, kind of enjoying, but continued into it, and I've liked what they've done, and I look forward to seeing where it goes next with the next season of it. That one was a lot of fun. Recommend it for anybody who likes that kind of fantasy world, slightly old-timeish, not modern, but not medieval.
Sure.
Like I said, steampunk time frame kind of thing, as they have dirigibles and stuff like that, airships. Not a lot, but a couple out there, and just the neat aspect of how they bring in all the races. It's interesting, too, because there's a lot of similarities, I would say, to almost because war is taking place at the time, but some of the countries and how they had to interact with immigration and things like that, but from the sense of multiple fantasy races, and there's a lot of prejudice that's displayed and talked through, which is interesting in my mind. And so I was interested to see how they managed through it all, and I really liked that. And actually, Kuro, I do have a drone. Maybe I'll try that. Okay, that'll be my next goal, a reason to fly the drone I have. I appreciate that.
That's fun, but they'll only give them temporarily.
But still, if it's done enough that they no longer feel like that's a place to hang out, that can be enough. If they just realize or feel like there's generally a predator there, that might be enough. That's like the idea of the owl, is that they see it as a predator, and therefore they're like, maybe not this roof. And so if I can add where that hasn't done it by itself, but maybe a little bit of motivation, again, this is steps prior to using high-velocity metal objects to take care of them. I'm willing to give it a shot, since it's sounding like there's some hesitation from my viewership of saying, yes, kill them all. And so I will try some less lethal methods initially.
If you do kill them, can you do me one favor and make the most of their corpses? Like, if you do have to kill them, like, at least make the use of the best of the bodies. Don't just, like, throw them in the trash. Like, feed them to, like, your cats or something. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I have a dead one sitting in my front yard right now. I'm not sure what to do with it yet. I'm letting it decompose like the rabbits tend to do around my house. I need to let those friends of mine that like to collect bones come have some. I just found one as I don't go out my front door often. There was one that was dead next to one of my trees, and I don't go out my front door often, so I haven't gone and cleaned it up. And it's slowly decomposing. Yay, morbid.
Yeah, I don't know if that would scare off the pigeons, actually. That might be your solution. Just leave a dead one up there.
I don't know. This is a challenge. I really don't know yet. See, Copy, you got it. You understand. Anyhow. So Carnival Row, I highly recommend. It was fun, interesting. It's gory, but not, I'd say, overly, but it does have some, it doesn't shy away from being a mature show. It's not gratuitous in the sense of like where I'd say some of the gore in The Boys was over the top. This one is more such like just an interesting thing. See, Earthweaver, you're right, and design for the drone. I might want to do, I was actually thinking about putting up another decoy on the other side of the house to kind of range it. I don't know. But I like these ideas as well. More things I could do with the 3D printer. I like that. It's just a matter of I don't want to get on my roof again. Like anything else up there, I might hire somebody.
There must be some kind of chemical or something that you can like put up there that must smell bad to them, or some kind of figure that would terrifies them or something. I don't know.
Well, like I said, that was the goal of the owl. And so far I haven't seen it working. I have to go out and check some more. So we shall see. Other than that, the other one that I just started, and I think, Ken, you might have told me about this one a little bit. Somebody had mentioned it to me before, but I started watching The Order on Netflix.
Don't think so.
Okay, so someone was telling me about this one. I don't know who. But it's a fantasy one that it was discussed almost as though, I think this is the one that people equated to, if it's still like a Harry Potter world, but if it was in modern times and college-based.
Okay.
But not as direct. So essentially in this one...
I did start watching this, actually. I didn't really like it.
Well, so it's one that I started watching, and I ended up just started binging. So initially, I'll admit, it was a rough one to start for me. I didn't really care about the characters. It didn't really draw me in for the first, honestly, like three episodes or so, where it was like, okay, but I was just in a non-sleepish mood last night, and so I just sat on the couch as I had dinner and stuff and kept it going. And in doing so, I started to get into it more and more. And what reminded me about it, and this is where I wasn't sure if it was you or someone else telling me, but it was their take on werewolves that is different than a lot of places and things I've seen. So, as a minor spoiler, not a main one, if anyone hasn't watched it, although it's been out for some time, the difference in this one, where the primary focus is on a magic society in this college, it's kind of a hidden magic society, and the main character is trying to get accepted to this Blue Rose Society, mainly because his mother passed away after she had been accepted to it, and he's trying to get close to a person in that society. And so he's trying to get access through the society, through the college, to eventually make his way up to getting close to this person that he finds responsible for his mother's death. in it, you come to find that the order itself is an order of kind of like what you'd consider the Illuminati or the Masons or something like that, in that there's theoretically a lot of famous people have come through it and gotten influence and some ability to make their lives wonderful. And kind of from that high society level where the college takes place, and usually the people who attend are families that have always had money and influence. And he happens to be one who gets sponsored in, scholarshiped in because of how good he is. And what's interesting about the magic in the world is it's more traditional magic where it's spell casting, not wand waving or anything like that. Magic words invoking symbols or spells and things like that, but it's not done to extremes. The most you see anybody do with it right away is like opening and closing doors without having to touch them. You know, and there are even those who are established and tend to have decent amount of power that they kick in and they use it for some convenience. But beyond that, wait, did I do something wrong on the stream? I see what you're saying.
Maybe.
Oh, what? How did that happen? Boo, boo, boo. Now I have to fix all those. Ah, bummer. All right. Well, I'll fix it temporarily and then I'll have to go back and fix it in post. Yes, somehow we are living in the year 4000.
19.
Yeah. Silly me. But yeah, so the show it goes through, but the piece that I found more interesting recently is the way they deal with werewolves is that people don't get, at least what they've shown so far, don't get infected as a werewolf. It's not like they get a werewolf gene. Instead, what it is there are pelts that are the wolves themselves. And what happens is the wolves are continuous. These pelts, as long as they exist, these wolves exist. And what happens is these pelts choose a champion, a person, and meld with them. And upon that melding, they become a werewolf at that point. And it's essentially like the essence of that wolf becomes a part of them. And then when it comes out, somewhat takes over as the wolf. And one of the things they do with that is they discuss that if a person that's a champion dies, the wolf itself does not. It just returns to the pelt and returns back to its home, which is kind of in this established area where they live in these little crates as just the pelt. But it was not, for me, it's like so many things I do appreciate about storytelling and different kinds of worlds is the rules. And I've liked how those rules are a bit different than other things I've seen. So that's been compelling for me. So those are two I wanted to mention this week. I've had other things, but those are the main ones. All right, I'm done. Ken, how about yourself?
So thankfully, because that's just almost halfway through the show, thankfully I've only got one thing to say, which is that I have court tomorrow.
What?
Which sounds so... Yeah, I'm going to court tomorrow to be a witness. So I've
oh,
talked
is this...
before,
yeah.
I'm not going to talk any further until, obviously, because last time I spoke, I didn't know I was going to court about it.
Yes.
Now that I do know, I'm not going to say anything else, right?
Yep.
So I will discuss a bit more probably farther in the future. But you know some of the details from the past. That's all.
But yes, the case you have mentioned in the past, you are now going to actually be able to provide your witnessing to. And so,
yes.
Gotcha. Is that so? Yes. For you, for something like a court date like this is more just me understanding the process. Do you get to just like take off work? No big deal. They understand, or is this kind of an inconvenience?
It's mandated. I have to go tomorrow. I don't have a choice, right? If I don't go, I'm breaking the law. So work has no way to tell me that I can't go, right?
Okay, so this is one similar to like a subpoena. You've been issued you will come to court to provide your witness to. And so with that, do they provide then paperwork for you to take to work and show them? Or something like that?
I don't know. I'm not going to... The thing is, my work's very chill, so it's more of a case of, like, I told my boss, by the way, I've got court, so I won't be in, right?
Okay,
and
cool.
He's like, okay, cool.
Well, so I asked that only because my only experience with court has been going to almost be pulled into court, where we do our duty where we get called up as jurors, and then...
For sure, we have that here.
Yeah, and then I have not yet been actually selected for a jury pool. And so I haven't actually attended and done court, but I've been there ready to serve my civic duty. And so for us, they give us a notice that you can take to work to prove, but thankfully my work is very similar. I just have to label that I've done jury duty, and they pay my normal wage, and I just deal with the court effects for the day. So I was just curious in general because I know there's those kind of differences out there. So
Yeah, no, it doesn't change. Yeah, well, tomorrow is not jury duty. It is as a
yeah,
witness,
for you it's
so
being a
I-
witness.
there's-
Well, I just
sadly, I will be needed, so I will be going home afterwards. Or
gotcha.
for a while anyway.
Yeah, no, I understand. Well, good on you for doing what we know to be the right thing and explaining
Yes.
what had happened. So hopefully your testimony helps, put justice out there, as I'm sure it
I
will.
certainly hope so.
Yep, I'm sure it will, so
Certainly
hopefully
hope
that's
so.
the case. All right, well, since I had taken up the majority of this hour as we were jumping around back and forth on my things, as well as our discussion of robots and flying through the sky, let's go ahead and take our break now. And what
Sure.
we'll do is I'll play a song here, about 3 minutes. Like we do, is we like to go back to our OC remix. Unless any of you guys have any artists that you'd like us to feature, in which case send us an email at showx@vtwproductions.com. Give us a heads up so we can talk to them, see about getting a way to show out some other music talent out there, like we did with our friends Edifice, as they gave us rights to look at their music. By all means. But this is going to be a song from Xenogears, and it's by Busta Tunes from OC Remix. So we're going to play this one, like I said, about 3 minutes, and we'll be back to talk about a little more geekiness this week. With that, you're listening to Show X on VTWProductions.com, and we'll be back right after this music break.
Send in your emails to showx@vtwproductions.com. You're listening to Show X on btwproductions.com.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the show. As you notice that it's not like Ken and I actually went anywhere. We just needed that minute to relax and talk about other things. So, but here we are.
We're talking about you guys. We're talking about you. It was gossiping and rumor and
Stuff.
And we heard you hooked up with Stacy last week. Oh my god.
So bad, so bad. All right. So, as we continue with what we're doing this week, and I think I'll lend more to what you're doing, Ken, but we're going to jump over to a little bit of...
I'm a geek. Are you a geek? Geek cred, level up!
So, what I've got for Geek Cred this week, not a whole lot. I've been playing some games. I think mostly it's been League of Legends. Hopefully people saw some of the stream I did with Earthweaver this last... Gosh, did we do that yesterday? I forget. But trying to make sure that we're streaming our 7 times a month as we are, because we are on Show X here. A bit of a challenge for our path to affiliate. We want to make sure we can get there so that we can open up the emojis and all those fun extra things for all of you in the community. And so with that, honestly, after the show, hopefully, I don't know how often you have to meet the criteria to get affiliate, but if today alone matters and gets us to where we need to be, then we've hit all our markers for this month. So we'll see if we have to how we have to maintain it. Don't know. We'll figure it out. But in that, I played some League of Legends, threw that out there. We also, this was kind of cool, because Earthweaver and I had never played, but we both had it. I was on a little mission in League. They had little bonus things to try to earn credits for more in-game items for playing 30 games of various whatever matchmake games. And so when Earth and I started playing, I was at like 24 or something of that. And as we kept playing, I looked and I was like, all right, we need to play something else. I've been playing League for hours now. Let me do something else. And prior to it, though, I was like, oh, but I'm only like 3 more games away from that. All right, let's play another. All right, man, that one sucked. Let's play another. All right, that wasn't so bad. Okay, we gotta leave on a win. And thankfully, I think when I hit my 30th mark, we did win that last match. So that was good.
Hey,
but
well
then we decided to try out a different game, and this is one that neither of us had ever played, but we both had installed. It was one of those, I don't know when I picked it up, and I kind of wondered if Earth was in the same position as I was, and so we checked, and he's like, huh, I do have it. Sweet. All right, let's try this out. So we played, and you can go back and check it on the last stream. It should have been the one just before this one, if you go through our Twitch page. We played, oh gosh, at least an hour, I think, of Castle Crashers. And
all right.
Have you ever seen, you haven't heard that one? Oh my gosh, it was huge for a while back in the day. It's a side-scroll beat-em-up fighter kind of game where you play these silly-looking knights, and you can play with up to 4 people, I believe, co-op, running around with each other. And so the 2 of us played together, just running through the basic campaign, having never touched it before. I think that we both had a pretty good time. I had fun. It's interesting because it's a lot of just kind of the same kind of fighting, like classic side-scroll beat-em-up brawler type game. Like your old Bad Dudes, Double Dragon, stuff like that. But a little more action-oriented, faster-paced, and really well animated. Very much those hand-drawn kind of feels, but with kind of simple pixelated art. Or I guess cel-shaded art. Cel-shaded art. So I liked it. It's a fun game. It's neat to look at. It's older, which is funny because it's not something that by any means is anything new. It's something that I believe anybody should have seen prior. So it's not like I'm introducing anything. It is something that I think they recently, and actually, yeah, I'll show a little bit of the stream as I talk about it. They brought it to the Switch, and it's on a few other things. But yeah, Earth and I played it for a bit. It was fun. Oh gosh, why this scene? There was a whole discussion there where as you're going through one of the forests, one of the themes was something scary was coming, and the reaction in it was that every animal literally had the shite scared out of them.
Okay.
Yeah, thankfully it wasn't
What?
done in a horribly graphic way, but I kept commenting on it like, why is there more poop? But but really, like, just this fun side scroll, you beat up all the various kind of mobs that come at you. They change and upgrade with the different levels, which provides different attacks and things you have to deal with. I think Earth and I both agree fireballs suck when you have enemies that can cast fire because they do a surprising amount of damage and just destroy you. And so we suffered some of that. But it's a lot of fun. They have shops and stuff where you can buy items in between things. They have a little arena where you can jump into it with each other and just have your own little brawl amongst the Castle Crasher heroes. Oh man, that mob was such a piece of junk, that bat thing. There's different weapons that you can get that have different plus and minuses to them, either how much damage they do versus if they slow you down or speed you up, or how much defense you have. There's a whole line of these different weapons that you can open up throughout the playing. It's got little bits of elements. We didn't have a bunch of the platformer type things. Mostly it's being aware of your surroundings and the different mobs that are coming at you, and being able to, change who you have to fight accordingly. When you go through, if you're playing with others, if one of you loses all your life, you can go and pick them up. The challenge is trying to do that in the middle of a fight. And yes, Copy, I agree, it's very Golden Axe. It was fun. It was just us getting along, talking about what we were doing. And it's just this nice cartoony animation, but a basic side-scroll beat-em-up. And I want to believe, I haven't looked on the Steam store lately or not, how much it cost today, but I don't think it was ever an expensive game. And so I think Earth and I, we probably both picked it up on some either developer sale or something like that, or just one of those group buys. But I remember when it first came up, people really giving it a lot of notoriety for how much fun they were having with it. And it's another one of those multiplayer games with up to 3 of your friends to play through. Also, if you watch anything in the video, you'll see one of the other side parts, besides having the various weapons and different kinds of, this boss fights and stuff like that, it's great is because these are ones that Earth and I did, is you also can have little pets that come with you. And they each have their own stats and abilities as well, things they do special. Some of them help you fight, some of them help you recover or look for things in the world. You get to upgrade your character between matches and such. So good, fun little game, and you can see how Earth and I enjoyed it on our Twitch stream from, I think it was just yesterday. Man, time flies. Anyhow, so that really has been probably the focus, other than me trying to do things for the show, of what I've done that's geeky this last week. I like a little bit of gaming, and this morning, and in general, trying to find ways to hopefully improve our Twitch channel. So hopefully already, I don't know, I hit apply on some things, but hopefully you'll see the look and feel of the Twitch channel improving, or continuing to evolve, if we've talked about things over the last several weeks. All right, that's what I got, Ken. How about yourself?
My fine self. Don't know where that came from. I have a good number of things, actually. This is where most of my content is today, is in the geek cred. So before I jump into that, I want to remind everybody that we do have a competition running. I've learned something. So on Twitter, I retweeted our Show X tweet from my own personal account, and I said, "Hey, retweet this bottom tweet for your chance to win a free game." And then 3 separate people, two of which followed me, about 3 people, all then responded to that tweet saying, or retweeted they retweeted my shout out tweet rather than the actual tweet itself, right?
Gotcha.
Somehow, I don't know how that happened. And so yeah, I don't know why they did that. That was a rather silly thing to do, because it means that they're not actually going to get anything. But you can, if you go to twitter.com/VeachLouisShowX, retweet the last thing that came out from that account, and you will have a chance of winning a game. Can you control the show for about 2 minutes, sir? Our heating has just died, and I need to go fix it quickly.
Oh no!
Okay?
Yes. While you do that, I'm going to discuss to the other people the other issues I've been running into. So run off, Ken. Deal with the real world. I was just reminded as I started looking at what we're doing with the channel and various things. One of the things I'm running into, because hopefully the stream isn't too jumpy today, I've been adjusting things for quality because I've been pressured. I don't know how to discuss it. Earth heard this from me. My interwebs are no longer at the most robust level that they've been in the past, that I've always invested in for the show, because it was one of those things that came out of Hyde versus the lovely support you guys provide. And so what happened is my internet, which I keep my internet as a business class investment so that I'm able to provide the best bandwidths for the show and for ourselves and Game Fest and all that. Unfortunately, I just recently got a bill that said that my pricing doubled. And so whatever deal I had, which I remember signing up for, which was like last time I used to do the thing where I'd reduce it for my normal daily usage, and then I would bump it up for when I had a Game Fest weekend. And eventually they teased me in by saying they would offer me 2 years at that higher rate for the Game Fest weekend I would do for basically the same price I had been paying for the lesser internet. So I was like, why would I say no to that? So I did 2 years of that. Well, that 2 years was up. Because the next thing you know, I got a bill for nearly double. Over $200 for a month of internet. Which I can't justify with just myself in the house. And I can't justify for the show, as much as I want to make sure we have wide bandwidth for our stream. So in reaction to that, and a pretty severe reaction on my part, I essentially dumped everything and went down, still maintaining business class because I want to not have to worry about overall bandwidth usage costs, because local broadband...
That's a thing still.
I know, right? It's something I lobby against constantly. But locally, they offer up to a terabyte a month of usage. The challenge is, while that sounds like an astronomical number, it is something that I even have friends who were at Game Fest who admitted their family blasted through the first month they had a faster connection. Like, that is easy to hit a terabyte. And now that all the new streaming content's in 4K and HDR and all these things, as well as every time you buy a new game and download the next 80 gigs for a game that you're installing, and heaven forbid everything that you stream when you're watching like Twitch, or as we do the show, or anything like this, all consume usage. So I maintain business class because it's unlimited. And without any of like the, oh, it's unlimited until you hit a certain point and then we throttle you. None of that. Business class maintains open unlimited. The challenge is, they got rid of the tier I used to use. I used to have one that was 15 up and 50 down. Plenty for an everyday usage at my house. And it cost me about $120 a month. I could sustain that. It wasn't terrible. It was okay. They got rid of that and instead changed it, I guess, with a plan that's essentially 15 up and, what was it, 75 down? But they're now charging $150 a month for that.
That's the thing, it's because they can, right?
Yes, because there's no real competition. Because they don't have municipal internet out here, because they don't have gigabit offerings from Google or other providers here. There's essentially no competition, so they can. It's terrible. So I'm being affected by that. So I went the minimal I can get right now, and this is going to make most of you all cringe. Keeping business class and keeping my costs now at something like $70 a month. I have 5 up and 25 down.
Wow, that's about as good as what I have, except a little bit better.
Well, the challenge is most people, and it's funny because broadbands and ISPs have been lobbying to say that broadband is anything over something like 5 meg down or something, which is garbage, not accurate. And with net neutrality and with the push that was happening from the FCC prior to Ajit Pai getting in there, had been pressing to update that to say that broadband doesn't really exist unless you have like 75 down and 10 or 15 up. But that's been squashed because of the current FCC administration. That I officially have broadband, but arguably barely. Like, it works, but I believe because I keep seeing in Streamlabs that we're hitting where we're dropping frames. That's why I'm asking if the quality has suffered. I think it's enough for the show and we're okay, but I'm actually broadcasting at like half of what I was doing prior. And people have said, well, why do you need business? Like I said, I could go commercial or go residential, but then I run into all the little caveats that residential has and more likelihoods of other slowdown. We'll see. I have to figure it out. I've been looking at other options again, but I'm just mad because I'm stuck in this loop now where they've changed the service out from under me and forced me to upgrade to a position where I would now be paying more than I want to, since they don't have my old plan anymore.
That's BS, dude. That really sucks.
So that's something I'm running into. So please let me know if the quality of the show has suffered. I will take that into account as to how I budget what I will do future. But right now, I just said, I can't afford that silliness. I can't justify that. And so now I'm down to what I would say is a trickle of interwebs. Enough for everything to still work, and now it's only me in the house, so it's not like I'm sharing it with multiple people. So I've managed, but I'm just on that edge of what I'm comfortable with. Anyhow, sorry. Thank you. Hopefully you're sorted and heat continues in your house. bring it back, sir. What you been up to?
Yeah, sorry about that. It was just basically the Ken tries to have a bath on Sunday nights, and for some reason there's cold water going through, which is weird because the boiler is on. It seems fine. Anyway, so yeah, I've got a number of things I want to talk about. First of all, I'll update with the books I've been reading. I've finished that one that I thought was absolutely fantastic, which was Spell or High Water by Scott Mayer.
Nice.
It's the second book in this series. I saw some how do I say it, the reviews online about the series in general, and they were saying that the book gets steadily worse. The series gets steadily worse.
Oh no!
So I sincerely hope that's not the case, because I'm so thoroughly enjoying it at the moment. So it made me really sad if the rest of the books aren't as enjoyable. But we'll see. It's not my choice, right? So we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, I've decided to try and save some pennies because of the big move. So I tried to cancel my Audible subscription, which is a shame, because I really do love my audiobooks. But I noticed that so first of all, they offered me 50% off for 3 months. So I said, okay, fine, you've got me, I'll do that. 50% off. So I'm down to like £3, so like $4 a month or whatever.
Nice.
But also, I noticed on Audible there's a special deal on. There's a special every like day or every couple of days, somebody goes onto the Audible subreddit and offers free audiobooks to try and advertise the books. I'm
nice.
guessing is because if you are the author on Audible, they'll give you some keys to help sell and advertise for free, effectively, right?
That makes sense.
So, well, at least once a day, there's some author that goes on and gives it like 20 or 30 keys if you're quick enough to get on it. And also, you have to keep it, a bit of a pinch of salt, because you have to recognize that there's a good chance that the book will be mediocre at best, right? Because if it's being given away
It's
for free,
perhaps not an established author.
Exactly, which doesn't mean it's bad in any which case, right? But it means it might be. So you got to keep that in mind. As such, I've picked up. Actually, I've managed to get 8 new books yesterday. Which is crazy, because usually these go for quite a little price. Most of which are from one author, which is E.M.G. Wixley.
Okay.
And it's the Witchfinder series, which is called Adam's Cross, Cain's Cross, and Devil's Cross. So there's all 3 of them. I also got Simulation Game, which is the Evolution series, book 1. I got In the Devil's Own Words, which is a standalone book, and I got Bloodborne, Cathedral Chronicles 3, so the 3rd book in that series. So I'm probably not going to read that one. If I like the other books that I've been given for free, I will probably pick up the other ones in the Cathedral series to get 1 and 2, to then get to 3. But we'll see how that goes. That's pretty cool. The other 2 that I got was the Warden of Fall series by Kyle Alexander Romanes. I'm reading The Wrath of Lords right now. The Wrath of Lords, Warden of Fall. And it's a fantasy book, and that's pretty much all I knew when I started reading. And like I said, I went with really low expectations. And it's really struck me as a very, very unique book so far. And the reason for this is, unlike many books out there, which I find in fantasy are kind of slow, not in a bad way, but it's like drawn out. You hear a lot of description about the characters, and there's lots of thinking from the main character, descriptions of the scene, and a lot of background and likes. This one is so action-packed that you're like, within the first, 50 pages, I assume, it's audiobook, you find yourself, suddenly there's like 16 different creatures, and there's 4 different quests the main character's already on. And
wow.
You're like, what is going on? And there's just so much backstory that every line seems to be of great importance to the plot. It feels like they've squeezed in, like the author squeezed in what would normally be, pulled out to 3 or 4 books lengths in a few chapters. And I'm not saying that's good. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just a completely different style, and it's kind of refreshing to have a different pace being set. The world's being fleshed out like crazy. It doesn't feel like the sort of traditional fantasy world where, there's the main character who will see something fantastical once every 100 pages, and then they talk a lot about it.
Okay.
Instead, it's like, oh no, it's a hobgoblin. Oh, and an ogre. Oh, and watch out, there's a wyvern attacking the town. And oh my god, there's a murder. And it's just like constant. And the main character's like clearly a really powerful character from the start, but has lots of flaws that are apparent as well. And it's interesting to see how that's really beating the main character down at the very start, and you're just thrown into the middle of it. It's really great. I'm halfway through the book in 2 days, which is pretty quick because I've just been really enjoying it. I found myself putting it on. So considering this is a random book that I found on Audible that I was given for free by the author, it's pretty damn good. So far I've a lot of praise for it. I'm only halfway through, but it's called The Wrath of Lords, Warden of Fall by Kyle Alexander Romanes. I'll be sure to talk more about that if and when I can.
Nice. Looking forward to that.
Yeah. So the other main thing I want to talk about is there's a I've been trying to watch more Twitch, right? Because largely for the show, I want to be able to do more, see more, and understand more of what goes on in Twitch culture, as well as the style and just how it's done. You know, learn from the pros. There's no point in me just going in and trying to dictate how the best video should be made without having any knowledge. You know, in the end, we came from kind of an old hat viewpoint of how to do Twitch, right? We're trying to do these 2-hour-long podcasts where there's no animation. The only video we have is webcam, and to us, that's still kind of new, right? Like, we're going really old hat. So the more that we can learn about what goes on Twitch, the better. And I've been watching lots and lots of different Twitch streams from various peoples, and I've learned some stuff. And I've been thinking about it, and the best way to learn is to do, right? So I have begun looking at and downloading a bunch of old Steam games that I am going to try and stream myself. And funnily enough, you were saying about the affiliate status, whether we might get it soon or not, depending on certain things. I was actually planning on doing this on the show Extreme to try and get us affiliate status.
Oh, absolutely.
So, regardless, it's a good thing to do, right? It's good for us to stream more. So the games I have, which I'm going to try and... I don't know if I'm going to do like a straw poll or something on the stream to try and work out what to do or what, but here are the games I've got. First of all, Hearthstone, Bear Simulator, BioShock Infinite, because I really enjoyed that game.
I still haven't played that one.
Lateral Damage, because I think that'll be silly fun. Crypt of the Necrodancer, I don't know anything about it. The Darkness 2, which I enjoyed, but it's it's an okay game. Dishonored, which is one of the highest rated games on Steam, actually, and I really enjoyed it. It came out on my birthday a few years ago. Factorio, of course. From Dust, which is a game that I played 8 hours of, which completed the entire game, but I enjoyed it. Knights of Pen and Paper 2, which is a bit of a microtransaction-y game on mobile, but I quite enjoyed it on PC. Lego Lord of the Rings, which I've never touched, but I've heard nothing but good praise from it. Mark of the Ninja, one of these games I want to return to, that I quite enjoyed.
Yep.
Monster Sanctuary, I was similar to the Audible stuff, I was gifted that for free to review it, so perfect, I can do it on stream as well. And you've been given a copy as well, sir, so we can both try that out at some point. I've also been attempted to play Nation Red, which is a zombie game that is a bit dull. There's not much to it, but I'll try that. Portal 1 and 2, Rocket League, Sleeping Dogs, because I loved that game back in the day. Subnautica, which I've not nearly given enough attention to as much as it deserves. Surviving Mars, which I picked up a few months ago. Not much of a chance to play. Terraria, which I played 10 minutes of and thought this just feels like crap Minecraft, and I know most people hate and cringe at hearing that. But
I'll admit, Terraria is one that we put a lot of hours into.
Yeah, it's one that I know I've not been fair to, right? So I want to give another chance to, and so I will. So who's your daddy? Because yeah, it might sound bad, but it's actually to do with you play as a baby, and you play as the dad who's trying to keep the baby alive or something. Yeah.
I remember hearing about that one. Yep.
Yeah, it sounds like silly fun. And The Witness, which is one that it's a puzzle type game, and it's quite beautiful, I believe, if I remember correctly. So I'm going to try that out too. So a good collection of games there. And I think I've also got... Is there anything else installed externally? No, I think that's just it. That and Hearthstone. So yeah, I'm going to get through one or two of those if I can. I'm not promising it'll be in the next week or even the next two. Maybe this is going to be something I do once I arrive in the US. But But that's my plan anyway, is to start doing some streaming with the various games that I have in my library, haven't really given a chance to, or I want to replay, like Bioshock Infinite. And that way, maybe it can be a bit of a nostalgia stream for some people. I can be exploring games that are not very well known, as well as looking through games that are classics that people love, and hopefully I'll have a little bit of an audience that can help guide me in what to play and how to play, especially if there's ethics in the game and stuff like that. I'm going to try to also look into the technology behind Twitch stuff. So kind of like the stuff that Wayne's got all set up, all the fancy stuff he's got set up here, with like having the chat showing and showing your camera, and if you're rehosting or if you get a new follower, something pops up. Hint, hint. Feel free to give it a shot. And all that. So I'm going to try looking into that and seeing how to get custom, all the fancy GUI for the stream as well. And that'll be good fun. RimWorld is one that I will play as well. I've not downloaded it because I've got so many mods that my installation is actually really large. So I'll definitely do RimWorld as well. I love RimWorld. So many different things. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And there's a million streamers out there who stream video games. So for me, my question is going to be, what will make my streams unique? Hopefully my fantastic personality shines through there and my charisma, but I don't know, hopefully I can bring something unique as well, and that's going to be what I'm aiming for. All right, so that's everything in my Geek Cred section, sir.
Cool. Well, I think I already covered everything that was in mine, so it is appropriate for us to spend the rest of the time talking a little bit of news. And so let's go ahead and transition to talk a little bit of
technology, news, and more today on the Geekoscope.
So, all right, speaking of technology news and more, and streaming, since a good segue into it, one of the ones that just came up that I was watching that kind of surprised me, and maybe this is something others had seen that I wasn't aware, I didn't even know was coming, but it says Logitech acquires popular game streaming tool Streamlabs for about $89 million. Oh. Right? I didn't even know this was happening. $89 million. So, all right.
These are just $89.
Yeah.
Wait, Logitech's that big? I thought they were like dying over these.
All right, so this coming. So that's the crazy thing, right? Logitech, it's a hardware company as far as I know. And I guess they might be getting more into streaming things. I know they have the cameras, like I'm using Logitech. I think all of my webcams are Logitech.
Yeah, I am too, yeah.
Right? And I think they've even done that with some of maybe they're doing some mics now with things. I just haven't captured or seen any of those. Anyhow, the article goes in this from TechCrunch. It says, if you're into live streaming video games, you've probably heard of Streamlabs. They make a popular free software tool for overlaying content on top of whatever game you're playing, allowing streamers to pop everything from a sponsorship logos to donation alerts on top of their video. Logitech has acquired the company for roughly $89 million plus $29 million in bonus payments if the team can hit, quote, significant revenue growth targets. Streamlabs says that they have about 1.6 million streamers using their tool each month, with 161 million hours streamed through it since it launched in beta in January of 2018. They also have a mobile streaming app, which the company says has around 480,000 users. Apparently, this acquisition makes a good amount of sense. Logitech has been pushing into the space for some time now, with purpose-built hardware for gamers and streamers, like we talked about the webcams, that they say can auto-do like chroma key and such. Now they've got the software to push people to after their hardware is all set up. So that was an interesting one that, like I said, I really had no idea was happening, but apparently that's a thing. So I thought that was actually kind of cool, considering we use both. All right, sir.
Yeah, that's awesome. So hopefully they keep it, they don't start charging lots for it or abandon the project entirely, as occasionally happens. But with that money they spend, they'll definitely give it their best shot, I imagine. That's me assuming that they're going to be sensible, of course. Who knows?
I agree. So it'll be interesting to see. All right, what do you got for us, sir?
I've got a few things here. So a couple of talking points. First of all, is it just me, or like I absolutely cannot wait for Halo Master Chief Collection? Like it's supposed to be 2019. Where is it? Where is it? I want to know. What's the release date? Let me know. I need to know. I need to know. It looks so goddamn sexy because I missed Halo 3 so much, and I'd love to just go play the crap out of it. Please let me go play the crap out of it.
Okay.
Are you excited, sir? Are you
Well,
excited for it?
so I was initially when it was first talked about, right? I was like, "Oh yeah, this will be amazing! Can't wait!" Right? I was absolutely that was my thought. And then the challenge ran into me that I realized I already have it because I got it on Xbox. However long ago when the Master Chief Edition or collection came out, and I started playing it on there. And so then I kind of stopped and was like, "Wait, so I guess I don't really care as much, right? It's not a big deal." And
But imagine it, right? Halo 3 comes out multiplayer. We can all play Halo 3, like old school Halo 3 matches, custom matches on on Steam. How cool is that? Oh my god, I'm like happy cringing, like my stomach's in pain from the thought of it. I'm so excited. Oh, I can't wait.
Which no, I do think it'll be cool, and it's one of those things that I'm looking forward to in the sense that I think it'll be neat to have that for everyone to play. Now, granted, at the same time, I wasn't big into Halo multiplayer. I am one of those heathens that have been PCMR for far too long, and so I also don't see the joy anybody had in playing GoldenEye at all because I thought that's terrible multiplayer. Same thing when it comes to the Halo multiplayer series. It's just the controls are crap. Because I've always had the precision of PC. And so I never spent those times in there, so I don't have that nostalgia. And I'm not saying that's bad. It's just for me, it's not something that I see and go like, oh my god. It's what I do.
That's
like
fine.
the Halo games, but I like them for the campaigns. It's actually, I really enjoyed it. It's just like I talked about Gears 5. I'm looking forward to that. And actually, if people have Gear 4, I would love to play it through with somebody on PC. I like the campaigns and the multiplayer kind of aspect of that, the co-op. So that's for me. So for me, I'm happy it's coming. I hope it does wonderful things. And as I jokingly talk about all the benefits of bringing things to PC is you get the better power and you get better display and better effects and all of those good things and better internets. So, I do look forward to all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'd just be smoother, and I imagine that it looked nice on Xbox. Actually, I quite enjoyed the way it looked. But after all, even if it looked good, then that doesn't mean that they didn't pull back the graphics as to what they were and the clock speed, etc., to match what was available on the Xbox, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if it was actually got much nicer in the near future. So that's what I'm hoping for. So yeah, fingers crossed. I think Halo is going to be absolutely amazing. I cannot wait whatsoever. It's going to be so good. Oh man. Okay. Next up, my next talking point was the Spidey movie. Did you see the news that the next Spider-Man is actually coming out after all? After maybe it wasn't the whole thing that was going on.
Yes, we did see that.
It's good news. Yeah, it's good news.
That's one of those that it's nice to hear that the studio's finally figured out a way.
Yeah, so basically, contrary to popular belief, it was Marvel with the guys who were being douchebags. They basically said they wanted to get more of a cut out of this, having Spidey, and they didn't want to pay as much for it. Everybody blamed Sony, right? Everybody was like, Sony, how dare you pull Spidey from it? You've ruined such a beautiful thing. But no, Sony were just standing there and then got told, we're paying you less money, accept it or not, or else. So Sony said, no. They came back to the negotiation table, and yeah, Sony are now getting paid less than before, but not as much less as Marvel originally said.
Well, I think
so.
Part of that discussion, because go figure, Disney, good, bad, ugly, that is anything attached to Disney Corp. But the idea that, in a way, everyone also sees it that Sony had yet to produce a blockbuster to the level of what the MCU has provided in their Spider-Man movies. And so I would be curious to see what their cut, like how much profit they made from this previous one compared to all their previous, like any one of the individual Spider-Man movies before this.
Yeah.
Just to see that even if that renegotiation of funds means that Sony makes less, if that still isn't more than they were making off the previous Spider-Man movies, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that.
There is something to be said about the value of the relationship with Disney Marvel. Because as fans, we prefer that connection. We don't want to see what DC's doing where every movie is its own individual nonsense, right? We like
Absolutely.
that everything's tied together. It makes it feel better. And even more mediocre movies within the overall series benefit because they're part of the series. So,
Yep.
I'm sorry, but in a way, I don't really feel bad for Sony. You've had every opportunity to make awesome movies in the past with Spider-Man, and you continue to trip and stumble and do things just to maintain the license. So,
no, understandable, right? It is money. But the thing is, like, the money that they're making right now is just for owning it. They don't actually make any money for making it. They've not done anything. They just happen to own it, and they make cash from that. So it makes sense to me that they should be getting paid, but the amount they're probably getting paid is going to be ridiculous anyway, I imagine.
Yeah.
All right, so that's Spidey. I've got two other little mini articles here I can bring up. One, well, they're both kind of related, and that's why they're both Minecrafty. So first of all, Minecraft Earth. You remember that new mobile game that's going to be coming out, right? So. Minecraft Earth, the free-to-play augmented reality mobile game that is more or less Minecraft plus Pokemon Go, is set to launch early access this October. So it's coming out much sooner than I expected, with a plan to be worldwide by the end of the year. So I'm guessing that means in the US is what that means. It doesn't say, but I assume that's what they mean by it. Oh, no, it says this is actually IGN UK, so maybe it's UK.
I don't know. They may have this one planned to kind of launch everywhere. We'll see.
I don't know. That's interesting, though.
Well, it's Microsoft, right? And so it's going to be this massive... they have reach everywhere. So it doesn't surprise me if they're not going to focus on just one area when they launch it, that they do it worldwide. I know that this is one of those ones I'm somewhat excited for. I'm going to be very curious to see how they leverage augmented reality technology in our mobile devices and things like that. The initial launch trailer stuff from it looked phenomenal. And it takes what's already a massive game and the one that I've become reacquainted to now that there's things like ray trace mods and stuff like that to make it super pretty, in that let me design something truly from that block effect of Minecraft, but then let me visualize it in the real world and potentially walk through it in augmented reality in the real world to scale. I don't know about anyone else. That sounds pretty darn cool.
Yeah, I'm interested in it. I mean, like, in the end, I find these mobile games are made for the lowest common denominator phone, right? So they tend to look like crap on most modern phones.
Well, so the challenge...
That's what I find, anyway.
I've seen a lot of these ones have been pushing a little harder, and especially because this one is an augmented reality one, it wouldn't surprise me if they have a slightly higher barrier to entry that says you need to have at least these phones to be able to manage it. And even then, honestly, as long as companies do the right thing and allow scaling of resolution and things like that, you should be able to make it work on almost any device. I mean, you need at least the level of cameras and awareness, GPS, the gyroscopes and everything to make augmented reality work. And so there might be some minimum there that they're able to get by. I'll be curious to see. The nice thing is Minecraft as a whole really doesn't require much horsepower. Especially the way they're doing this. And they already have Minecraft on mobile. So this will be an interesting blend.
Indeed. The other Minecraft update is that Minecraft's Nether is going to be updated in the latest actual update to actual Minecraft. And mobs and visual effects will be given to the Nether. So, revealed during Minecon Live, which is why there's so much Minecraft news, the Nether update will add new target block that acts as a projectile hit detector, and a Soul Sand Valley and Netherwart Forest biomes to the Nether. Also introduced were the Piglin Beasts and Piglin Mobs that bring a brand new civilization to the Minecraft universe. The name Piglin may be temporary one, however, because fans can now vote on a new name. So in addition to the Nether update, it was also revealed that bees, beehives, and the honey block will arrive in both Bedrock and Java versions before the holidays. And also they went on to further detail about the character creator that was allowing players to customize their characters with both free and paid content. In a first for Bedrock, capes will also be available, with a free Founder's Cape becoming available when it launches later in 2019. There's a couple of interesting things that are going to be going into Minecraft, but I don't know. Like, in the end, it's more stuff to do with the PlayStation and Xbox crappy DLC stuff. And also, this is not particularly interesting considering mods exist for the PC version, so this is nothing that fantastical. Like, you can get anything, in general, on mods. So, why is this so fantastic? It's nice, but they're so far behind compared to mods. I just don't see the big appeal. I'm excited, but just not as much as I should be. So that's all my news about my MC, yo.
Nice. All right. Well, I have some little ones I like to throw out from kind of the old school and what we've had in the past, things I keep lingering on my list of to talk about. So this one's reaching back into my archive a little bit back from June, but one we never talked about that I found interesting. It's one from TechSpot, and it talks about John Romero. Everybody remember John? That he has created an unofficial... No. Really? So idsoft, back in the day, John Romero, one of the designers for Doom. And he has released an unofficial Doom episode called Sigil, and it's available for free. So what it is, and this article talks about, it says, it was last year when designer of iconic games such as Doom, Wolfenstein 3D, and Quake revealed, quote, an unofficial spiritual successor to the Ultimate Doom's 4th episode. The announcement marked the original's 25th anniversary, making those of us who played it first time around feel even older. The Sigil add-on pack features 9 single-player levels and 9 deathmatch levels for fans of the old-school FPS to enjoy. It says you can also buy it bundled with a soundtrack from one-time Guns N' Roses guitarist Buckethead for about for six. Was it €6.66? So that they do the 666 because Doom.
Right. Okay, that's pretty neat.
Yep. Let's see. They say that's going back to like software stuff, but yeah. So it's out there and available if you want to check it out. And you need the original game to play it, but you can grab that from Steam or Humble Bundle for anything for about like $5 if you want to play the original Doom. And so that's really cool. Very curious. John Romero is still one of those minds behind all things gaming from back in the day and FPSing. So kind of neat throwback to the original Doom and the fact that somebody's still making new content for it. So I thought that was pretty cool. All right,
that's pretty neat.
Back to you.
Yeah, that is cool. That's actually happening. That's a really neat thing. All right, yes. So next up, this one makes me laugh with kind of righteous laughter. 20,000 Fallout 76 power armor helmets are being recalled for mold exposure.
Yeah.
Yuck. So this is from IGN. A previous version of the story said that the collectible helmet was from the $200 Armor Collector's Edition. It's instead from a different line of collectibles sold through GameStop. Here's Bethesda's statement on the matter. The helmets are being recalled are not from our Fallout 76 Power Armor Edition, but are instead from a different line of helmets sold exclusively at GameStop. The Fallout 76 Power Armor Edition helmets are unaffected. Consumers should visit the product recall page for instructions if they purchase the GameStop helmet. 32 out of the 20,000 units manufactured were sold to consumers. The story has been credited with the new information below. So yeah, some of the people who bought those helmets with that fantastic, genius masterpiece of a game, Fallout 76, which everybody is still playing, and we barely touch anything else, right? Can you feel the sarcasm seething in my? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that bloody game. People bought the helmet at GameStop, and it got moldy and disgusting quickly. So yeah, unlucky if you put money into that game.
Oh, it's just so many challenges.
Unlucky, I mean, kind of deserve it for not seeing what it was going to be.
Oh boy. Nope. Challenges. Well, I mean, it was one of those things that really cool concept. Loved the idea of getting, visual swag. In fact, I need to remember to bring up, because I don't think I've shown it on show, the Borderlands 3 Psycho mask that I got from DragonCon that they were just throwing out there. That looks surprisingly cool for being a very cheap mask. But things like that, I mean, it was neat, right? It's a way to celebrate. And Bethesda historically has had pretty cool collector editions. I always talked about back to my original Oblivion. Yep. When I got Oblivion and it had one of the actual metal coins from the game, as well as a map and things like that. That was super cool, having additional physical things to enjoy outside of the game itself. I have myself stepped away from a lot of that, I think mostly because my house is full. I'm still trying to find places to display things that I have sitting on shelves or kind of in, collecting dust. that I should no longer do that, and so I've got a theory that I need to no longer acquire new things until I prioritize what I already have. So
that's not misunderstandable. That's not a word. That's not a bad position.
So yeah, no,
Words
but that's one, because I remember, I think even Copy had gone out there and was trying to acquire the collector's edition when it first was announced, but had snafus when it came to what Amazon was doing and things like that. And so, canceled pre-orders and other things, and, not having truly the number that were supposedly available, actually available and such. So all of those kind of things. But yes. All right. So that sucks, because that just tells you that maybe some things were shoddy. That goes back to, what was it? Was it Bethesda? I swear Bethesda is the one that keeps coming to mind when it comes up about the challenges of making physical collector's edition stuff. Who was it that made the canvas bag that was supposed to... Was it Bethesda in the Fallout pack, or was it in something else?
I think it was, actually. Yeah, I think it might be.
I recall that they had made a canvas bag, or at least that's what was advertised in the original announcement for the collector's edition, and then what they shipped was garbage. It was essentially like the thin, terrible bags that you can get that people use as branding all the time that cost almost nothing. And so that was one that I remember failed as well, because they eventually had to go back, and I want to say they had to either refund people or eventually actually make the better version, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so crazy. I mean, this goes back to myself, where I still mantra for those in the modern times to do our best to not get caught up in the hype and avoid pre-ordering games. Like, please stop pre-ordering games.
Do not pre-order. Don't do it. I get the temptation. I understand you get excited about a game like the Master Chief Collection. That'd be my biggest temptation right now if that were a thing. But I also recognize that it's just not worth it. It's not worth it at all, because all you're doing is rewarding them for something that they haven't done. You're saying, here,
yep,
here, have this, and they don't deserve it. So don't be mad. And don't pre-order.
That is, I agree, and that is my feeling on it. Right? It's okay to wait. Now, I mean, the challenge is, and I understand the hype. It's getting things launch day when everyone else is right there, and you want to be part of it, and you're excited. So I can see it, but yes, the pre-order, kickstarting things that otherwise might exist without a Kickstarter, things like that. You're risking so much for what has too often come back as not living up to the hype, not living up to what was really meant. Like, I am still on the edge of, I would like to get Borderlands 3, but I don't want to jump on it unless I know I have groups of people that want to play with me in it, because I've always enjoyed that game much more playing multiplayer than I do on my own. That's a personal thing. So I haven't pre-ordered, I still haven't purchased it. And I've seen some of the hype going on and things like that. It's like, Copy, stop it. I need you to buy like a Raspberry Pi 4 and just build yourself a RetroPie and have all of the things. And what you can do is buy little cases that you could put around it to make it look like any one of your consoles you want. But yeah.
I've got a buddy that did that. It looks really cool, actually. I think, if you spend a little bit of time and money, or you're just willing to put some effort in, you can make something really neat out of it.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I don't want to hate on the minis that have come out for everything, but it's even back to, and I think I had just deleted the article I had on it originally, but no, it's still one it's an older article, but it's relevant in a way, as talk about pre-orders and stuff from IGN, and this is back, when was this published? Back in July, but it was discussions about PlayStation Classic and how it has gone through multiple levels of being on sale. Because I think when PlayStation Classic first came out, it was somewhere in the range of like $80 or something like that. And it dropped quick because everybody was just like, no, for the games you're offering and for what it does, it's terrible. The cost does not make sense. Yeah. And so I've seen it get as cheap, and I haven't looked recently. The cheapest I've seen it hit is like $20 for the PlayStation Classic, because it really did not sell well. And the question in this article came up is, at the time they had mentioned $25, is saying, is it worth it? And so, here it goes. It says, when the PlayStation Classic originally was announced, they didn't know the full lineup of games, but still the original $100 price tag seemed high. But many people had faith it would be worth the price and the wait. And on launch, everyone kind of agreed it wasn't. They weren't as brisk as retailers would have liked, and its $100 list price soon gave way to big permanent price drops. And so now that it's at these lower prices, is it worth it? It says, while the initial announcement was met with tons of excitement, that excitement began to fade as more details on the console began to trickle out. Sony held off releasing the full list of games, which seemed suspect in the eyes of many. And when the 20 included games were announced, most people said, why would I want to play that?
Yeah.
And so when they talk about it, says, is it worth it? It comes down to personal preference and what you're willing to accept from the mini PlayStation in terms of functionality. They say it works and that it's fine, but they say at the same time it's a bit odd that they do PAL versions of some of the games and NTSC versions of some of the other games, and that means some of the games run slower than you might remember. And it's just little things where they talk about it being a bit of a mess. And so, yes, it's neat and nostalgic, but come on. And my challenge is, so I'll give credit. With the PlayStation Classic, there were some odd decisions there. Some are good. Battle Arena Toshinden was good. That's one of the first fighters that came around on it. Cool Borders 2, meh. Destruction Derby, awesome. Actually, one of the better car games out there. Final Fantasy 7, a must. The original Grand Theft Auto, kind of a meh. It's the top-down version that most people don't remember was a thing. Intelligence Cube.
Oh, right. I remember playing that.
Yeah, but most people
that in the London version.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Most people don't even recall. Intelligence Cube is a solid game. Jumping Flash, don't even know. Metal Gear Solid, the original, makes sense. Mr. Driller, odd one. Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, decent. Rayman, good. Resident Evil Director's Cut, good. Revelations, Persona, meh. Ridge Racer, you'd need to have at least one of those. Super Puzzle Fighter 2. Why a puzzle fighter? I don't know. Siphon Filter, arguable back and forth. One of the original kind of, I think, spy type games, shooter games. Tekken 3, yeah, that's good. Probably the worst decision on the whole list. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. The original Rainbow Six just does not make sense on console at all. And then Twisted Metal, solid decision, and Wild Arms. That's a really good RPG, actually. So in general, it was fine, but it just seemed like for the price, especially when it was $100, they could have done more. So, but it's just a comment back to the idea of careful pre-ordering, buying at the initial launch of hype. I wish we were still back in the time where people spent more time waiting on just a solid review to come out and then spend their money. But, that's where we're at.
Yeah, right.
All right, sir, back towards you.
What a mad concept that is.
I know, right? What?
I know. Okay, Civ 6. So it's got mixed ratings right now on the if you have a look at the Steam ratings, you'll see that it's got mixed reviews, which is a bit strange considering it's Civ, right? You think Civ should be good because all the games so far have been good, except for the most recent one. So Civ 6 is kind of seen as like the cartoonish, unnecessary version of Civ 5. It's enjoyable, but it's just like, why bother? Why would this exist? What is the purpose of this existing? And so Civ 6 is actually getting a Battle Royale mode.
What?
Which is, it's sort of like, what world are we living in right now for this to happen? It's getting a Battle Royale mode. So be sure to check that out. Civ 6 Battle Royale mode. That's right, the 4x strategy game is venturing into the last player standing territory with Civ 6 Red Death, and it's available now. In the Battle Royale game, a large group of players drop onto the map and must collect supplies, loot, armor, items, etc. As a circle slowly encroaches on the map and shrinks the playable area, Civ 6, surprisingly, is translating many of these mechanics into its own game. So 12 players are to battle to be the last surviving civilization. You can choose from among a set of apocalyptic-themed factions, each with their own in-game advantages. The faction will then spawn inside a safe zone with a starting civilian, infantry, and machine gun unit. The safe zone will shrink every couple of turns, thanks to the encroaching storm of radioactivity that reduces the playable area. Players will have to move their units further inward to avoid being damaged by the storm. players are limited if their last remaining civilian is captured. Your faction can be bolstered by adding additional units like tanks, helicopters, and more civilians found after investigating ruined cities. It doesn't seem like players can or should spend time building units on their own. Yeah, so that's a thing.
I love how your reaction to it is trying to just even understand, because I have questions, right? All kinds of questions of Civ for me has always been a challenge, one, because it's turn-based, and multiplayer on it has always been a challenge for me. Whenever I've tried to do it at LAN party, I'm just like, no, because it sucks everyone's ability to play games away from them because you're stuck doing it for, some 20 hours to try to get through a match. Just terrible to me. I always throw out there that I wish they would just go back to the old-fashioned email turn-based thing where, you start maybe playing a live session for the first hour, and then after that, you just do your turn and commit it to the server or whatever. And whenever your opponent has a chance, it goes round robin through everyone's turn, and they commit it back, versus having to actively be connected to the game session to play. Just like, oh my god, that hurts me, because now you have to have everyone has the game up and you're waiting. Oh, anyhow, turn-based game, battle royale. So is there like every however many turns it happens? If you're on, I don't understand, because normally in a battle royale, in an FPS, if you get dropped at the edge of where the circle starts coming in, and you're going to have to cross the map to get there, a big part of the game becomes just traversing, right? Just find a vehicle, find some mode of transportation, and get across that map as fast as you can so that you're safe when it starts to encroach.
Yep.
It's a turn-based game by default. It doesn't comprehend, like, you have this many turns to get over there, and I don't know. Does every game, here's the question for you, everybody in the community, does every game need Battle Royale? Does it? We saw it where they're doing the competitive Tetris thing, and I haven't really seen how that's taken off or not. But
I think the answer is evidently.
Whether it's true or not, or demanded or not, I guess it's one of those. I would love to see or hear that discussion when it comes from the marketing team or whoever it is that makes that decision to say, look. Here's the thing. I know you've got this wonderful idea for a virtual cake simulator of baking cakes, but the only way it's going to matter in today's day and age of gaming online is if it's Battle Royale. And unless you've got Confection Simulator 3 Battle Royale mode, you're not going to make it.
So speaking of, actually, I downloaded a game this week that was a Battle Royale because I decided I wanted to try it out because I was quite interested in the MMO. Confusing sentence, I know. Basically, there's an MMO coming out called Ashes of Creation that in 2014-ish I signed up to emails about because I thought it looked quite interesting.
Okay.
It looked like a really pretty modern MMO, and I thought, I might give this one a chance. It looks quite nice. Since then, they said they'd have like more news in the next 2 years or something, and they kind of went quiet. But they recently announced, no, we're still alive, we're still making it, but we want to test some of the stuff that before we launch the game later this year. And to do that, we're going to do it in a battle royale. And everybody collectively groans at this point, by the way. This is where we all groan.
Okay.
So, yeah. That's a thing. And I downloaded this new game that there's totally just for testing the real game. Definitely not a cash grab with microtransactions. And I tried to make a new account. First of all, it said at kenreed.co.uk, which is how my email ends, at kenreed.co.uk, is not a real domain name, which, considering I own it and have used it successfully, professionally, and in my personal life for pretty much everything, I can tell you it is a real domain. I'm sorry it's not on your saved list of at Gmail and at Hotmail and at Outlook, but it is a real domain, and screw you guys for not having that in there. So I'm not that I was irritated at all or at all annoyed by that. So yeah, I couldn't sign up with that, so I had to use my alternative Gmail account, and I did, and I got my username, and I verified my email and everything, and then I went to sign in, and the login button went from, clickable to gray, and I was like, that's weird. I must have misclicked it or something, like slightly off, and then they deactivate the button. So I tried again. I clicked it again, and nothing. So I typed in my password, clicked again, nothing. It went grey again. Like, okay. So I tried resetting my password, thinking maybe it's just not showing me the dialog box saying my password's wrong. Maybe I typed in my password wrong twice before. So both when I'm making the account and when trying it. So I reset the password, try again. It goes to grey box. So I went and reviewed the game, and I explained exactly what happened in my review on Steam. And at that point, I noticed that all of the reviews for the entire game say the same thing. They're all saying, nobody can log in. And somehow this game's been allowed on Steam. Not a single person can log in. So I'm really unhappy with that. I posted my review yesterday or this morning, and about an hour afterwards, I had this big response from somebody. They typed out like loudly and proudly, "This game is a scam. If you look into the owners, they're all known scammers. Don't trust them. Yada 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 yada." And I was like, okay. Apparently, this is like the Ashes of Creation. The guy just took the money and ran.
Oh no!
This is the last ditch attempt to cash grab. I don't know. I don't know anything about it, if it's legit or what. I haven't looked into it anymore. But that was an interesting thing that happened to me this morning, and apparently that's a thing. And I thought that'd be a good way of ending the show. Because we are now at the end, I just realized.
Yes, it is time for us to walk ourselves off the air for today. I do look forward to having some more discussions on, like you said, mobile apps, things like that, because I've had some things that I will hopefully talk tech when it comes to my phone, as Apple has recently released their new version 13 of their iOS, with it some of the features they've installed in it that most Android users will be very familiar with, since they've probably had it for years now. And I am just starting to get comfortable and used to it, including dark mode as a default thing for how most of its apps work. About time. As well as some new things, as well as some games I've been playing, and one that I'll throw out there as we close the show out. Nintendo released a new mobile version of Mario Kart that is free to play, and so far it's been interesting. I'm just barely dug into it, so I'm curious to get some time on it, and then hopefully I can provide my thoughts on whether I've still kept it installed on my phone or dropped it like Ken does any slightly bad habit or slightly bad game or frustrating for a moment. So I'll see how it lives up to things for me, and hopefully get some information back as we go. For me, not next week, but coming up in the show as I've had more time with it. All right, with that, it is time for us to end things. Note that after the show, please jump into the Discord if you'd like to hang out. I'll be there for a bit as I start looking more and more in depth about how to make the channels shinier for us here on Twitch. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that. But thank you definitely for tuning in. Ken, would you like to read us out before I find the time or the way, hopefully, to make it so that, as Copy suggested, it's just in our information and we don't have to do it each week?
Yeah, or we have a bit that does it for us, yeah, or like a pre-recorded thing. You have listened to Show X live on twitch.tv. We very much appreciate it. Thank you very much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to us on Twitch, tell your friends, and go share links to our Twitch and such on Twitters and all these places. We appreciate it. You can also follow us on twitter.com/VWShowX, twitter.com/DocDead, and twitter.com/drkenreed for the show, for Mr. Wade, and for myself. You can also check us out on Facebook, search for ShowX there. You can join us in Discord after the show for some post-show gaming, if you so please. Don't feel pressured. If you want to, that'd be pretty neat. We'd be up for that. You can also, I don't know, follow us on Reddit. Go to reddit.com/r/showx. And that would be pretty cool as well. And you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/showx. It helps sustain the show's software and hardware, and not our beer funds. For some reason, we don't do that. Unless we get big enough, then we may reconsider. But right now, it's only exclusively for that stuff. All right, thank you for hosting the show, sir. We very much appreciate it.
All right, everybody, thank you very much, and Ken will catch you next week, but we'll catch you again every Sunday here on Show X. Thank you, everybody. Have a good week. Bye.
Goodbye. See you next zombie.